Crate Box is coming to Switch as well. Well keen on that. Super Crate Box, great game.
Maybe whilst I introduce the podcast, you could look that up, because this is Heroes of Handheld, episode 249. This is the Internet's premium handheld gaming podcast dedicated to everything handheld, whether that be your Nintendo Switch or your phone, because that's pretty much it. This week we are talking Apple Arcade. We're talking a little bit about Google, Stadia. We're going to be reviewing lightly or just looking back on some of the highlights from the Nindies Direct last week. And we are going to be talking about this rumor about some new Switch models to come as well. I'm Chris. I'm joined by Colin.
Yeah.
How are you?
That was a great teaser, really. I mean, you've wept Is it wet everyone's appetite? It's not wet, is it? It's wept or something.
No, it's wet, but with a WH, I think.
That's crazy. You've whet everyone's appetite, Chris, because now everyone's going to want to know what's going on with all those things you said about. But I'm well, by the way. Thank you. I know you did ask. I'm very well. It's great to be back, Chris. Great to be back for episode 249. I mean, 249, that is a solid number that will go down in history. And I feel this will be one of the best podcasts we've ever done, because there's so much to talk about. A bit awkward last week because we did the podcast on Tuesday last week, and there was a massive announcement coming later on that night. And obviously I sent my audio over to you just before the announcement. So by the time you uploaded it, it was already announced. So I'm just like in my little recording, I'm like speculating, and then it's actually happened. So that's a waste of time. But
it was funny because last week, because I had messed my dates up, I was editing the podcast together. So I was like, Colin, just send me some audio. I'll just get it done, mate. Don't worry. And then you send me this thing, and it's like, oh, there might be this announced tomorrow. And then I was recording it, and it's like, oh yeah, this has happened. Yeah.
Dank. Yes, it's dank. So I don't think we should spend too much time on it, but obviously it's such a big news. It'd be good for us both to quickly discuss Google Stadia. Let's get straight into it. This big announcement that Google is now entering the gaming market, streaming with using the Chrome browser and any sort of Chromecast device. So basically you can play a game from anywhere. All the hard work is done by Google servers. Now, this really isn't really a new idea. Other companies have done this. Obviously, PlayStation Now is the main one I can think of. I mean, the main issue everyone is saying about this, that for it to be successful, no lag, latency, things like that, because can't help but think with these massive games that they're planning on streaming, there's going to be issues with that depending on the internet's speed that you have. I mean, the idea is really cool. I mean, the videos and information that we've been showing this is really interesting. I mean, me and Chris both, I messaged you about this. One of the coolest features I saw was where, I mean, it's obviously Google owns YouTube, so it's going to be linked to YouTube as well, where you could potentially be watching a streamer or someone playing a game. And if you really like the look of that, you can press a button. And if you're in the Chrome browser, you can straight away start playing the game yourself instantly. I mean, the video I saw of it is that they clicked a button and they were playing instantly. There was no delay. It was straight away loaded up and you're in the game. Now, whether that's realistic, who knows? The idea behind it's really cool, but I have my worries. I think a lot of people do. I mean, the rest of the gaming industry has sort of been a bit, let's see how this plays out. I mean, it's not really been that earth-shattering. I mean, when you think of the other big players like Nintendo, PlayStation, and Microsoft, but I mean, it's a cool idea, and this is obviously where gaming is going, where there's going to be no actual physical games anymore. It's all going to be in the cloud. I mean, I know Xbox, Microsoft are working on an Xbox that doesn't actually have a disk drive. So all the games are, just through the online store only. So there's no disk drive at all. I mean, it's interesting. I like the idea of it. I mean, apprehensive. We wait and see a bit more details when more people have had a try on it. They also did reveal a controller as well, which looked very nice, very similar. I don't know, actually, it made me think of a Nintendo, a Switch Pro controller mixed with a Xbox controller. But it looks very nice. It's very white and looks very clean and very crisp. What did you think of this announcement, Chris?
Because when I recorded last week, it was basically immediate gut reactions, and now I've had more chance to kind of ponder on it and stuff. I do think it's cool, and I think, like you, probably the YouTube integration is the most interesting thing for me. One of the features I saw is that if you are watching a streamer, playing games on YouTube, you can supposedly press a button to join a queue to play against them. So I could be watching Colin stream on FIFA, and I could be like, "Oh, Colin's pretty good, but I bet I could beat him." And then I'll click a button and join a queue. Like but the downside is that because we texted back and forth about this on Wednesday, and I'd kind of forgotten just how often Google pick up something because they think it's going to be the new tech and then they drop it.
Yeah, they do.
And
they do
I just I hope that isn't the case with this, because I think it is really promising. I think it does look really interesting. And I think the fact that they've, set up their own studio, and the fact they're going to be working on exclusives, presumably, and that is really interesting. And I look forward to seeing what they do. But I just worry that if it's not good to start off with, people won't give it a fair shot later on. And also, I don't know how good people's internet is to be able to play this. I mean, that was what defeated like On Live, when On Live was out a couple of years ago before it got bought by PlayStation, was that people would pick it up and play it and it would work for a bit and then it didn't work and suddenly it was like incredibly frustrating. Unplayable. So yeah, I mean,
worries, isn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like as well, Google aren't going to be this isn't going to be, you're not going to use Google Stadia to stream like Plants vs. Zombies, are you? People are going to want to use it to stream like really kind of intensive tech. And I just feel like I don't know if the data infrastructure is there, especially like in this country. I mean, obviously in parts of America and Scandinavia and stuff, internet's a different story, but like we don't have amazing internet speeds everywhere in this country for sure, and especially on mobile as well. So I am excited by it. The parts of it really interest me. The YouTube stuff I think is really cool, but I just worry that it's not going to be quick enough.
Yeah, it all comes down to, will it actually work? That's the thing. I mean, the idea is great, that the fact you can go from one device to another seamlessly, and like a phone to a desktop to another device. But yeah, it's hopefully, you hope that Google won't drop it like a sack of crap like they do with their other stuff. I mean, Google Plus, rest in peace, Google Plus. Was it Google Plus? That sounds wrong. Was it Google Plus?
Yeah, Google Plus.
That sounds wrong.
No, Google Plus was the one. Google Plus with your circles. Google Glass.
Dropping that. Oh, Glass.
Yeah.
Google Fiber. Sorry. That's an American thing, though. So many things that they just drop because they can't be bothered anymore. So hopefully they're in this for the long game, because hopefully they're in the end game now. There you go. But they weren't the only game company to stand up, do a presentation, and talk about how they're entering the gaming market, because Apple also didn't want to be outshone. They stood up, did a keynote, and it was revealed that they are going to be entering the gaming market as well. This was blended in with other announcements, like they're updating their news app and other things like that, which people don't care about. And also, they're doing a credit card as well, I saw, which is really trust Apple with that. Anyway, but the thing that we care about is Apple Arcade. So, though obviously similar in the fact it's games, not similar in the fact it's going to be a monthly subscription service, and it's not going to be cloud-based. It's just going to be playing the game. So you pay a fee, and then you have access to a load of games that you can play. I think they're saying there's around 100 games or so on there at the moment. And when they did their keynote, they did also announce or reveal all the companies who are working with them. There's some big names in there. I think Disney was listed as one of them, which obviously made my ears prick up because Diz is my boy. So this is interesting. For both of these, we should say that they've not actually announced any pricing. Google Stadia hasn't, neither has Apple Arcade. But I'm intrigued by this. I mean, it depends what sort of games they are. I think they said there's going to be exclusive games coming to this service. So it's not just going to be games that you know and love. There's actually going to be new titles coming on to this service. And so, I mean, I'm intrigued by it. I mean, what's cool is that you can play it across iPhone, iPad, Mac, OS, Mac OS, whatever it's called. So it will go on all your devices. So, and another thing, there'll be no ads and no microtransactions either. So once you've got the subscription, that's it. The game, I don't know if you'll be yours. I assume maybe it'll be similar to Xbox Live then, where you get the games where you can play them. Same with PlayStation Plus as well. But yeah, I mean, this is interesting. For me, I'd have to see what games are actually part of this when it launches. They've said it's going to be the end of this year for the US. I think this was. I'm trying to think whether this was this or Apple Arcade. One of them said it's going to be launching the end of this year, and it'll be firstly available in the US, Canada, and the UK as well. So intriguing. It's good to see that these big other developers are trying to get into the gaming market because they realize there's a lot of money in there. But for me, with this, I'm sure Apple will make it a good service where it works really well and runs well across your devices. But it all comes down to the game library, the games that they actually have as part of it, which will sell me. So, I mean, what I know you're a recent adapter of Apple and iOS. You actually got an iOS. You actually got an iPhone like 5 years ago now. I remember you did that. You went from Android to Apple.
Yeah, probably 3 years ago. It's worth saying before we move kind of into something else that Forbes have put up a list on their website of the 30 so far confirmed games for Apple Arcade. So we'll put a link to that on here at handheld.wordpress.com. Games include Lego Brawls, Hot Lava, Oceanhorn 2, Lego Art House, Mr. Turtle, Lifelike, Repair, Sonic Racing, Doomsday Vault, Spidersaurus, Yaga, Overland, and more. So you can look at that list over there if you're so inclined. We'll link it. Thank you, Forbes, very much.
Very handy.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting. It seems like they're going to be paying developers based on how much people play their games as well, which is, not, as far as I know, that's quite a new way of doing it, because I was under the impression that for most of the other services, the developers just get paid like a fee. It's like, oh, can we buy the rights to put your game on our service for a month for, £30 or whatever?
It's good. It's an interesting model though, because that means that developers have to actually make a good, decent game that people want to play to get money, which is good. That'll probably heighten the quality of the games, you would hope. Yeah,
and hopefully as well. The other thing is it means that games can actually focus on delivering a pure priced product, as opposed to kind of a cash machine, gotcha machine, or whatever they're called, which happens so much in mobile. The fact that these games are going to be non-free-to-play titles, I think that's probably a pretty good thing, because a lot of mobile games, I don't know if you feel like this, Colin. Well, I guess maybe you don't buy as many mobile games as I do. Like I buy a lot of 99p mobile games because they're quite fun, and 99p is not a great deal in the crux of the gaming sphere, but it is a lot to a developer, like to get that purchase and to get boost up the algorithm a bit. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting move from Apple, and it's not a surprise that everyone's doing it, but that keynote in general was quite weird. Like the Apple streaming thing, I mean, that's not a discussion for here really, but Apple like to come to stuff a little bit later, but when they do, they make sure it's a really polished product. So I think this could be really good.
They've always done that, haven't they? Of everything, like they're never the first people. They see what other companies are doing, and then they make it better, and they do make it better. To be fair,
yeah. But I mean, I don't think that's quite fair, because I mean, some things they have been, trailblazers on. But yeah, you're right. A lot of Apple tech feels like it's stuff that Android or Samsung were doing, but then they've polished it a bit and made it a bit more simple to use. So yeah, we'll see with this Apple stuff. We'll keep you posted on Heroes for Handheld as it develops, because we are the internet's premium handheld gaming podcast. Now, Colin,
yeah, boy.
I want to talk to you about a rumor I've seen on the Wall Street Journal. Now, this has been bubbling around on other parts of the interweb as well, but I saw it on the Wall Street Journal. This is an article by Takashi Mochizuki.
Well done.
And thank you. This is a rumor that it looks like Nintendo are going to launch 2 new Switch models. Now, that's annoying. The articles.
Yeah, I would be able to see it if I didn't. It wants me to start.
Yeah, we might have to get.
I'm not going to do that
stuff, because I was okay.
So
all right. Well, other places are reporting it as well.
I'm going to have a look. Oh, fine.
If you Google the headline, you can just read the Engadget thing. So Engadget are reporting this as well, but the Wall Street Journal had the scoop on it. And it looks like there's going to be 2 new SKUs. One looks to be a more kind of plastic safe physical version without HD rumble, and with attached Joy-Cons, and this is rumored to be for children, a kind of 2DS model. And then the other rumored SKU is a version that is like a pro model, so a better battery life, faster processor, maybe a nicer screen. There's not lots of details out there because this is all quite rumory. But I mean, the Switch is coming up to, well, it's just gone 2 years old. I will have owned mine for 2 years in May. Colin, when you see this, do you think of investing in a high-end pro skewed Switch, or are you happy with what you've got at the moment?
I would not feel inclined to upgrade. I mean, I was going to say that I'd never really think about doing that, but thinking about it, back in the original Xbox 360 days, I did have the old original console with the button where you got the red ring of death, and I did upgrade it to the Xbox 360 Elite. And that was a great move. That was a great console. But with this, I don't know. I mean, there's not really much of a difference really here. Looking at these two models, I mean, this is something that all the big game developers do. I mean, PlayStation have released multiple versions of the PS4. Xbox have released so many versions of the Xbox One, the higher end, lower end one. So it's not a surprise. I mean, looking at, I think this is obviously a good way to potentially get more sales in for Nintendo. But surely, I would say this is like to attract, especially the cheaper model. It's to attract the people who haven't got a Switch yet, rather than people upgrading their Switches.
Yeah, I think it's kind of clever when you say that, because I think the cheaper model is definitely aimed at new consumers, but I think the kind of pro elite whatever model, I think that is quite a viable way of getting people who have already paid once for a Switch to pay for another one, because I love my Switch, but it would be unfair to say that it's a super powerful console. I mean, we've seen titles come to PS4 and Xbox that just couldn't run on Switch. So if there was a more powerful version, I think there is a good chance that that people would be tempted.
Yeah. I mean, I'd want more. I'd honestly a picture of it. There's no pictures yet, is there? There's just that I'm looking on Engadget, because you don't have to sign your life away to actually read the articles. And I think that image at the top, that's the cheaper model, I'm imagining.
Or it's all a lot of
it's rumored, isn't it? Okay,
yeah,
it's probably just like a random generic photo. But yeah, it makes sense. It wouldn't surprise me if Nintendo did do this. But for me, it wouldn't encourage me to buy a upgraded Switch. I love my Switch just fine. Just fine. I love the blue and red Joy-Cons as well.
I think I'd only get an upgrade if my Switch broke. Maybe I'd be tempted to, because if you're going to replace it, you may as well. It depends. A lot of it depends on price as well, doesn't it? I mean, that's the thing with these articles and rumors and stuff. It's all well and good for them saying new Switch might be coming, but if it costs £300 versus if it costs £350 or £400, that makes all the difference, doesn't it?
So going off topic a little bit, or not, because we are talking about the Nindies. Confirmed, Super Crate Box is coming to Nintendo Switch, and if you've not played that, it's a fantastic game. I played it on my Vita a lot. It's a freaking fantastic game, so addictive. Would very much recommend it. And I think that'd be great on Switch. It makes sense on the more on the portable screen than the big screen, I would say, because it was great on PlayStation Vita. So Super Crate Box coming soon. Chris, so I see one of the world's toughest games, or so I've heard, which was originally an Xbox exclusive, is now coming to Nintendo Switch. Welcome to Cuphead. Cuphead and its awesome old 40s or 30s style animation. Now, I've not played Cuphead. Have you played Cuphead?
No, watched videos of people trying to get through Cuphead. Yeah, I'd say it's I don't know. It reminds me, whenever I'm trying to describe the graphics, though, I just think of Steamboat Willie and that kind of
definitely.
And whistling and
shaking their hips and
grins and
big white gloves and red pants. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean, one thing that when I've seen videos of Cuphead played online, I always note how ridiculous the boss battles look. They look absolutely crazy. So this will be really fun. I mean, I've not read into too much detail, but you'd imagine that you can play 2-player with the 2 Joy-Cons. So that would be really cool, being able to do that.
Yeah, so you can play as Cuphead or Mugman in single player or local co-op.
Are you Mugman or Cuphead? Which one are you? Come on, which one are you?
Probably Mugman. I don't know. They're both. To be honest, I don't know which is which.
I think Mugman's the blue and Cuphead is the red. I think. I think so. Anyway,
Fair
I'll
enough.
have to do some research on that.
So it's confirmed to be coming out on April the 18th. It's being made by Studio MDHR. And what is, of course, very interesting about this as a kind of business development is that Cuphead was originally promoted as an Xbox exclusive. So this really, I mean, it feels like the type of game that should have been on Switch. But the fact that Xbox are happy for it to come across, I think that says really good big things about Microsoft and Nintendo and this kind of idea of them. It does feel a little bit like they are teaming up because they know that it's good business sense, it's good for the gamer, it's good for the consumer, and it's good for those two because if games can go one way, games might be able to go the other way. And I think it's a shrewd move for Microsoft because they know people want to play Cuphead who might not have an Xbox. So people are going to be able to play it on Switch. And it's shrewd for Switch because, it's a great game coming to Nintendo, and it's a platformer, which is what a lot of people associate with Nintendo anyway.
It's not the sort of game you'd usually expect to be on Xbox, as you said. Like, when you think of an Xbox exclusive, Cuphead really isn't the sort of game. I mean, maybe it's me just generalizing the sort of games you get on those consoles and the player base. But yeah, Cuphead, as you said, Cuphead would seem to make more sense being on Nintendo Switch than on Xbox. But you do wonder about the contracting side of things here. As you said, like, obviously you'd imagine it would have been Microsoft and Xbox who would have given permission for them to go onto Nintendo Switch. If it wasn't exclusive, you'd imagine it would have been a contract. So it is good signs. I know the co-op is a big element to it, but I'm not too sure about. I'm assuming you can do co-op online on Cuphead, and if you can,
on the Nintendo site, it just says single player or local co-op. There's no mention of online.
I was going to say if there was online, that would be a cool game to do cross-play with. So one person on Switch, one on Xbox, playing as one of the characters. But no, I mean the local co-op would be fine for Nintendo Switch with both the Joy-Cons. That'd be a lot of fun, I'd say, and very frustrating, I'd imagine as well. A lot of hair pulling, a lot of throwing the controller down in anger.
Yeah, I'm keen for this. And I think the other thing as well is if this is happening, right, bear with me, Colin.
Yeah.
If this is happening, it basically confirms Banjo for Smash, because if Microsoft are happy for Cuphead to come to Switch, why would they not be happy for Banjo to come across as well?
I swear, everything leads back to Banjo. Somewhere, every news story links to Banjo. It's all like the number 23, that film with Jim Carrey. Everything links back to Banjo. It doesn't matter what it is, it all goes back to that. Let it die. It's not going to happen. Move on. Move on.
Oh, don't say that. I think it's possible.
Well, maybe. Or maybe not. Let's move on. So the Red Lantern, what's this? Why should we be excited about it?
So there was lots of indies announced, but I picked this out because this looks like a really interesting, different game. And honestly, I mean, I love indies, I love indie games, but sometimes it does feel similar. I can honestly swear I have never played an indie game that deals with this. So this is a roguelike resource management narrative game where you and a team of sled dogs get lost in the wilderness and have to navigate your way through Alaska to find your way home. So it's I mean, it's not fair to call it a walking simulator because you're mushing the dogs, but you have to manage the resources of your dogs, food and how you interact with the world and how sort of aggressively you want to be with them and their movement. And there's hundreds of unique encounters. And the reason I kind of wanted to highlight it is because we'll embed a link to the article. But it looks...
Just watching the trailer. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I love that art style.
That's why I wanted to mention it, really, because it just looks so pretty.
I mean, it says it's story-driven. You wouldn't expect it from a game like this. It looks just like a small title where you're just racing a bunch of dogs across Alaska. And because a lot of these games, it's all about style over substance, really, isn't it? I mean, you think of Journey, which was all mostly style over substance because it looked really nice, but there wasn't much to it, really. I don't know if that's going to annoy people. But this seems like it's got a good narrative. So
yeah, and the fact that it's got unique encounters, so you'll do things like fend off frostbite, or you'll see bears or mooses and animals, and you can play with gyro controls as well. I think this is a really, really interesting and kind of novel sounding game. It's made by Timberline Studios. I'll have to email them and see if we can get a little code, because I'd love to play this.
Yeah, I would as well. So Get me. Do you got any more of those dem codes?
All right, I'll see what I can do with all that industry weight I've got. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and I just thought it was a really nice announcement. And all we know is that it's coming 2019. We don't know any more yet, but one to keep an eye out on for sure.
Yes, I wasn't aware of this, and when I saw the name Red Lantern, I did not expect that at all. So nice little surprise. I'm definitely up for that. Cuphead and that one, definitely up for it.
Yeah, one more that I saw that I want to bring to your attention, Colin. Now, do you remember? It must have been on Vita, a Vita game that was on other things as well, called Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yes, I do. It was on Vita. I remember this. There's lots of news stories. People were very excited about it.
Yes, and if you're not maybe as across it as Colin is, this is a kind of dungeon crawly, isometric top-down beat 'em uppy grid game. But the whole crux of the game is that it's set to like this kind of pounding musical rhythm, and you attack with, to the beat. You attack with dancing, and it's very focused on music and sound, and it's all about kind of making you feel like you're immersed in this music and this soundtrack, a rhythm action game, really. And at the Indies event last week, this is so incredible. A follow-up was announced to Crypt of the Necrodancer called Cadence of Hyrule, which basically is Crypt of the Necrodancer, but set in Zelda dungeons, featuring Zelda characters and monsters, and obviously Zelda music as well. This is really exciting because it looks like a really cool game. Anyway, it's coming spring 2019, published by Spike Chunsoft and developed by Brace Yourself Games. But the reason I think this is really exciting is, as far as I can recollect, aside from kind of Easter eggs, this is maybe the first time we've seen Nintendo license their property out to an indie developer. Like, that's a really big step for them to kind of have this indie developer and be like, oh yeah, you can put Zelda in your game and base it all around Zelda dungeons and Link, and yeah, go for it. Like, that's bonkers, right? That's crazy.
Some people say I'm bonkers. I just think I'm free. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy, man.
It looks really good though. As well as being as out, it looks like Crypt of the Necrodancer, but in the Zelda universe, which I think is the right way to do it. It doesn't look like a Zelda game. Like, it looks like Crypt of the Necrodancer, but with a Zelda skin. Really exciting for this. I think this could be a really good game. I think this would be a nice way to get people into the franchise. Yeah, big for Nintendo as well. Could lead to all sorts of things down the road if they'll do it once.
They're going to keep doing it. They're normally very protective of their intellectual property. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's
very
big.
Exciting. So there's lots of cool games coming to Switch at the moment. I know we seem to say it a lot, but there really is a lot of cool games coming to Switch, which I'm very interested in.
Yeah, Yoshi's Crafted World comes out on Friday. In case you're interested, there's a demo.
Great! Great!
There's no need to be rude, Colin. People like games with Yoshi.
Yeah, we love it when developers steal ideas from Tearaway. Just saying.
Wow. Okay. Shots fired. I do remember Tearaway.
That was a lovely game.
I think I got the platinum in that.
Yeah, I played the demo. I loved the demo. The demo was fun. I loved it when you put your finger on the touchpad and your finger just like appeared in the game. That was cool. The Tearaway. You think of Uncharted Golden Abyss, they did that so wrong, like how they incorporated the touchscreen. Just that's where the Vita collapsed. Before we go or do anything else, Chris, so you've been playing the remastered Modern Warfare 4, and I'm intrigued. You say it's really good. I know this isn't handheld related, but I want to know because I love that game. That's probably one of my favorite games of all time, Modern Warfare 4. Was it Modern Warfare? So COD 4, Modern Warfare, not Modern Warfare 4.
So this was free on PlayStation Plus or for the month of March. So I've mainly been playing single player. I haven't really touched the multiplayer. It's what I'll tell you how I feel about this, Colin. It's really surprising to me to go back and play a Call of Duty campaign that feels so intensely like non-stop and arcadey. Because I don't know about you, but most of the single player games I play now, I feel like have a bit of mood to them, or have a bit of like serious kind of story to them, or have a bit of, like there's ups and downs in terms of pace. The Call of Duty campaign, it's just like I'd forgotten how kind of old school it feels, because there's not a lot of music really. There's not, there's not side missions. It's just like get to the end, kill the bad guys, don't die on the way.
But there's nothing wrong with that because there's such good character development. I feel like you really care about the characters in the story, and I know this is bad to compare it to a Michael Bay film, but it was like a good Michael Bay film, and there was a lot of action, but there was a lot of heart in it as well. I thought,
yeah, and
there was
I
a
think
deeper meaning, deeper story, which was good.
what
And a good villain.
what I kind of hadn't, great villain. What I hadn't really, I guess, what I hadn't really remembered, because I played the Call of Duty Modern Warfare campaign, but like I don't think I played it all the way through, or maybe I kind of.
Oh man, how can you not go all the way through?
Because I played the last mission because you showed me on YouTube.
That end mission, I would say, is one of my favorite levels in any game ever. That ending scene is so good. So good. Is it too? We can
because people might be like me and playing for playing it on the remastered.
Honestly, I cannot describe to you how I was like in that scene. I don't know, but when you're in that scene, the very last scene where you finish the whole story, like you just feel like, oh god, oh no, it's all over. But then anyway,
what I hadn't really, what I'd kind of forgotten is how linked all the different story elements are, and how significant it is that Vasquez and Jackson have to be doing a thing, whilst Price and Gaz and Soap are doing a thing, and that idea of how it all links together is really interesting. And it's just so non-stop. I love that. I love how you die, you get back up again, you keep going through. It's just it's a really good campaign. I'm playing on hardened. I'm not strong enough for veteran yet. Gillied up. What a mission!
That is one of the best games, best levels. I mean, I managed to finish the campaign on veteran. It took me a very, very long time. And you said you're on that bit at the end of all Gillied Up where you're defending the helicopter.
Oh
god, that was brutal. When I did on veteran, honestly, I just remember lying prone in the little ticket office right next to the Ferris wheel, just like praying that the grenades wouldn't get me, because it'd just be like grenade everywhere. Oh,
yeah. What I will say about the harder difficulties is you really don't think of it as a video game, in a sense that, like, in every other game you get shot. Of course you get shot, but you're fine. You walk it off. But in like the hard difficulties on Call of Duty, you take a bullet, you start to breathe heavily, and everything goes red, and then you take another bullet and you die. And it's so like you have to be, and it's interesting because there's not like a because it's first person. There's not like a kind of tactile cover system. You just have to really hope that they're not going to be able to see, because you can only see what your character sees. It's not like in I don't know, Deus Ex or something, where it's third person and you can crouch behind a wall and see over the wall. Like, you have no idea what's going on, and I think that is really interesting. And it makes me kind of miss like this era of first-person shooters, because it seems like everything's gone third-person now. Which, it's good to an extent, and it lends itself to certain things. It lends itself to kind of magic and fantasy and weird abilities much more. But first-person shooters, there's something so gritty about, you can only see down the barrel of your sights, and that's it.
I think past Black Ops, the Call of Duty store campaigns got a bit ridiculous. I know they're always ridiculous anyway, but this got a bit too much. There's too much of the bang bang and not enough of the heart, in my opinion. But I'm glad it's good. But leaving the discussion on this, can we just say the mission with the nuke is just gets you right in the feels.
Yeah, really,
so good.
It just feels so pointless.
Yeah. Well, did you play Modern Warfare 2's campaign?
I did.
Do you remember the
as well? But I don't quite remember how it connects.
Oh, do you remember that? Who's the main guy with the moustache? Who's like the bad guy in Modern Warfare 2? Captain Shepard. Is it Shepard? Yeah. He well, the reason he is the way he is because of all the men that died because of that nuke. That made him go crazy.
Yeah,
he couldn't believe he lost so many men.
Yeah,
he's like, I lost 10,000 men in the blink of an eye, and the world just fucking watched. That's what he says. Oh god, it's all linked. Even Modern Warfare 3 is linked to the first one. Oh man, so good. Honestly, those games. I need to pick up the. I don't know. I've not played it yet. I was going to, but then I don't know. Oh, and the online as well is always great, but just with the free perks, not free perks, the free kill streaks and nothing else. No, like super mega juggernaut.
Yeah,
Just like,
I need to play more online.
yeah. Anyway, I think we're done. That's it.
Yes, Colin. Next week.
Next week, we're going to be changing the format of the old podcast because, we're hitting a milestone, 250 next week. We're 250 episodes in. So we're going to change the format up a little bit. In fact, you probably won't notice much difference, really. Just we're going to be quicker to wrap up, more to the point, and then every now and then, or every end of the month, or every 3 or 4 weeks, you'll get a special episode where we inject a little bit of our trademark banter into the mix, and it'll just be so darn adorable.
Yeah, what we kind of want to do is we want to do because we've ran some polls on Twitter and we've been speaking to people in the audience about what they like and what they don't like. And you listeners at home, thank you very much for getting, making your voices heard. We want to try and do a bit more kind of in-depth analysis and a little less of trying to cover everything because, frankly, we know we're not the only podcast you listen to, and that's okay. So we want to give a bit more of our kind of opinions on things and a bit less of trying to cover like, oh, this is coming out, this has got a release date, blah, 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 blah. So if you don't like it, we might change it back. Who knows? But Colin, we'll be back next week for episode 50. How can people get in touch?
Oh, there's so many ways, Chris. Firstly, they can email us, heroesofhandheld@gmail.com. You can contact us on Twitter. We're all over Twitter @Handheld Podcast. That's the official Heroes of Handheld podcast handle. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, wherever you find wherever good podcasts are sold, that's where we are. You can even go to our website, heroesofhandheld.wordpress.com, go to the Contact Us button and fill out the form, and then your message will be whisked right into our palms. We would love to hear from you. Your thoughts on the news on Google Stadia, on Apple Arcade. Are you excited by these? Are you a bit concerned? Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Peace out. I could have thought of a better way to end that than saying peace out, to be honest, but
yeah,
there you go. Pretty poor. Anyway, Chris, it's been a pleasure.
Yes. See you. Speak to you next week.
On the other side.
Yeah. Take care.
On the other side. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.